Next year, we are getting Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman in a brand new movie titled Deadpool 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the most highly anticipated films of probably all time for us comic book nerds. I know it's absolutely up there for me, as worried as I am about how overstuffed this film is taking and going to end up being, or maybe ends up being like Multiverse of Madness where nothing happened. There's so many rumors circulating of who's going to show up in this film, what cameos, what multiverses, what variants we could possibly see in here. And in today's video, I wanted to dive in and really much go through those in a tier list style ranking through percentages. 0 chance, 100% chance. These are all the best educated guesses that I can possibly give. And this is on the eve of the actor strike seemingly to either be done by the time this video is up or still in negotiations to be finalized. But when it's over, Deadpool 3 is going back into production, and some of these might come to fruition, but that's why we're doing this list today. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below. I'm going to put a link to the tier list down below, so if you also want to do your own, please share it over on Twitter or Instagram to me. I will be sharing those over there so other people can see all of our tier lists together, but without further ado, let's get into this.
Shoot, baby, shoot.
Ooh, how you doing, baby?
Also, if you like movie and TV content on a daily basis, you should absolutely hit that like, subscribe button. Don't forget to do that as well. Starting out here, we have quite a few, and some of them I kind of just want to get off the bat are some obvious ones. So let's go let's go with the Fantastic Four stick, the reboot with like Miles Teller, Jamie Bell. I was thinking of including each and every one of them separately, but I don't think there's a chance that they get a Miles Teller, a Kate Mara, even Michael B. Jordan to star in this. So if I was going to go with this, I'm going to go 0 to 20% chance of happening, but there's a 20% possibility. Actually, not even a 20% possibility. There is a high chance that they make fun of this movie. We've seen some of the behind the scenes of them in what looks to be the void from Loki. I can only assume that that is something that maybe they would see their costumes or a poster or something of that nature that just lets Deadpool riff off it, because it seems like that's what a lot of these riffing is going to be about, is in the entirety and kind of a love letter to the 20th Century Fox legacy of Marvel characters. So that's where I would take that. And speaking of Loki, this one's kind of all pieced together, but primarily Tom Hiddleston. I think there's a 50 to 60% chance that we see Tom Hiddleston in here. We obviously do know that the TVA is in this series. I do not think Tom Hiddleston, Loki himself, could show up. If he does, I think it's like more of like an end credit scene, but I do think there's a chance we see Owen Wilson as Mobius. I think there's been rumors about that. So this is just overall touching on the Loki show characters from there. We're clearly going to see the TVA, maybe even Miss Minutes, maybe Deadpool and Tara Strong kind of have like a rift off one another, but out of all the characters from there, Owen Wilson I think is like the most clear and front runner to easily appear in this. Tom Hiddleston, more of an end credit scene if you ask me. Which brings it up to the next part, which let's get the obvious one out of the way. Elektra, Jennifer Garner, 90 to 100%. We already know she is appearing in this. This has been like 100% confirmed already by the trades and by Disney and Marvel. I don't see her having a huge standout moment, but I think that one's just a clear and obvious one that we already know is happening. I don't know how I feel about that personally. Up next, Ben Affleck's Daredevil. I think that's a 0 to 20% chance of happening. I think there were rumors that they were really trying to get Ben Affleck in here, and trust me, don't get me wrong. I think it would be cool to see him back. I just think, for me, it was either they were going to go Elektra or Daredevil in this instance. And not because they're divorced in real life or anything, had any issues, because Ben Affleck apparently was on set. But the more rumors that kind of circulate and come out of that is that he was only on set visiting her and the kids. And that's about it. He wasn't actually there to suit up or go anything. And trust me, there would be a fabulous, great little cameo or joke there. And especially Ben Affleck and kind of his comedic timing. He has really solid comedic timing in my opinion. If you saw the movie Air, I thought he was fantastic in there. This is just another one of those that I just don't see happening clearly, and just how the rumors kind of go. Ooh, next one. Let's get one that I think can be in the 70-80, and that is William Stryker. So I think this could be any version. Obviously, we've seen multiple different actors play him. But I think when you deal with Wolverine, you do have to have Stryker coming about. And whether they get the actor from the original X-Men films, which is the guy who was in Succession, and now I can't remember his name off the top of my head, or maybe any of the other 1,000 different strikers we've had, this is one that I think I would be shocked to not see a William Stryker show up. A variant, something of that nature, due to the wisdom of, again, we're dealing with Wolverine. We're dealing with Deadpool. We're dealing with the legacy of the 20th Century Fox, and William Stryker was a major part of that all. Time will tell if I'm right or wrong on that, but 70-80% feels pretty safe on that. And speaking another thing about Wolverine, this one I'm also going to do at a 70 and 80%, which is Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth. Sabretooth, for people who don't know, is Wolverine's brother. And I have to be honest, I would be so sad if he didn't show up in here. First off, Wolverine Origins is a trash movie. That is one of the worst films in any comic book thing. I hate that movie. I think it's boring. But the best part about it was Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth. Liev Schreiber deserved so much. I was actually really hoping he was going to show up in Logan and never did. I think his character, his mannerisms, his actor, I'm just a huge fan of this guy in general because of Ray Donovan. If you've never watched that show, very underrated. The first 2 seasons are excellent. This is more of a personal thing for me. Is there a high chance he probably won't be in this? Absolutely. A lot of these are. But I think 70 to 80%, I'm willing to bet that there's a higher chance of him being in here as well. So let me know what you think about that. But I think, again, if we're giving closure to a certain part of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, which we've already gotten with Logan, I think it's that legacy aspect that we're also needing to close out now. And I think this is kind of one of the safe marks as well. Which, let's just keep continuing on the Wolverine train. X-23, I'm going to go 30 to 40% chance of Daphne Keane showing up. A lot of the reason being, they've really strictly said that they are trying not to strip away from the legacy of Logan. I don't know how you don't do that, but I think if they're going to be safe and stay away from that, it's Daphne Keane's X-23 that you don't want to touch. Now, maybe it's a variant of her that she's just playing. It's from a different universe, like, say, he was still alive and something, and he was taking care of her. I could see that working. I'm putting it 30-40% chance because I do still think there is a tad bit that they could touch on that. Either it's a small little cameo within like a couple seconds, or just something that ends up not being there at all because, again, they don't want to touch the legacy of Logan, and it seems Hugh Jackman is very prolific on that. Again, time will tell if we actually do get that promise, but I doubt it. In some way, shape, and form, they are going to have to continue the legacy, whether it's like Deadpool grabs him right before Logan appears, or maybe it's a couple years prior before this, or even everything that happened with Mr. X. I'm just saying stuff out of my mouth at this point. X-23, 30 to 40% chance. Which, let's get to another one, which this one's interesting because Taylor Swift is like one of the biggest icons, apparently, on every platform, no matter what. And Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, is a huge, huge friend of hers. She was just at a game with Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and, of course, Sean Levy, the director. I'm actually at a 90 to 100% chance of this happening. Whether she's playing Dazzler, female Deadpool, I have no idea. But I would actually be really shocked if Taylor Swift was not in a cameo in this movie. I think Dazzler fits the best, and if you want to go off Deadpool 2, where they did the musical number at the start of it, I could see them doing that again, but this time with Taylor Swift and doing Deadpool and Wolverine. You have Hugh Jackman, who is a song and dance man, Greatest Showman, Les Miserables, all of the different shows that he's done. That's something, that aspect that could be brought in here. Could also piss off some people because, again, Wolverine is very much not like that, but maybe it's Deadpool wanting to dance with him and Wolverine doesn't want that, which would be a nice little riff on that. And then you have Deadpool, which we've already known is about this and breaking the fourth wall. And then you have Taylor Swift. And for a small cameo like that, or a small cameo like Dazzler, it just fits it all well. The only reason I would not see this happening is truly if she just did not have the time. But I think all of this is coming to fruition. I think we're going to see Taylor Swift in Deadpool 3. And I'm for it. I'm interested. Up next, this one's kind of just like an obtuse one. I was going to put like Deadpool variants in here. I think we are definitely going to see Deadpool variants. I think that one's a little bit more obvious, but Wolverine variants is the one that I'm curious to see the most, whether it's a certain actor playing this or different versions of Hugh Jackman. I'm leaning more towards different actors. I don't know which actors you could say. Daniel Radcliffe's apparently has a small role in this from Daniel RPK, the leaker. And even Taron Egerton's been rumored too, who I've actually wanted to play the MCU version of Wolverine. I think Taron Egerton is such an underrated actor. I'm going to go a 70 to 80% chance of a variant Wolverine showing up. This could be, again, a wide range of different things. Could be a different actor. Could be an actress. Could even be Hugh Jackman playing multiple versions of himself, which I think is the more logical version that could happen to this. I'm very interested to see if that happens. I don't have, again, much more thought on that, but a 70 to 80% chance feels pretty in line with all that. Up next is Blade, Wesley Snipes. I'm going to go 0 to 20%. I do not see this happening. There's lots of different reasons on why I don't see this. First off, there's apparently some drama behind the scenes of when Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes were on set back in the day of Blade Trinity. Blade Trinity was crap. They also still have not been able to figure out this Mahershala Ali Blade film. They don't know when they're releasing it. They have release dates for it, but none of that's even been solved. They can't get a script. I really don't think that they would want to touch on Blade with Wesley Snipes coming back if you still haven't even gotten Ali in. Same argument can be made because of the Fantastic Four, but we at least know that is happening, where like the Mahershala Ali Blade, I could see easily being canceled and becoming like the next Inhumans for the MCU. I hope not, but between the drama that apparently happened on Blade Trinity and some things with Ryan Reynolds, and then alongside the MCU not being able to figure out their Blade, I don't see this one happening either. So throw that one out, 0 to 20% chance, but I'm more leaning towards a 0% chance. Next one we have is Scarlet Witch. Now, if you asked me about 6 months ago, I probably would have told you absolutely she's going to be in this. As of today, as I'm filming this, I'm going to say leaning more towards a no. I am going to go the 50 to 60% route because I feel they are going to have an MCU cameo in here. Who it could be, I think the easiest one to say would probably be like a Doctor Strange, honestly, or a Baron Mordo, something like that. Because my theory is that they're going to go to the world where Scarlet Witch had killed like all of the Illuminati. And if we do go there, we obviously know Baron Mordo is going to be there. We know that Doctor Strange is dead there. But we know that the Scarlet Witch is still alive there. The one that was possessed. I could see them bringing that factor into here and bringing her into such a small role. But when it comes down to Elizabeth Olsen and the Scarlet Witch, I don't know if, unless she's contractually obligated to do this, I don't see her saying yes to it. And the reason I don't see her saying yes to it is I think the next time she would probably want the Scarlet Witch to be seen, and honestly, I think even Kevin Feige, the next time he would want this to be seen, is in a higher capacity. Something that we would really want her to see. Specifically coming off the villain return, I think you need to either have her go full-blown villain again, but I think more of her history is leaning towards the hero side, and if you've read a lot of Scarlet Witch comics, there's a couple different roads that they could take with her, and I think the more heroic side and her trying to find her own path is probably the best bet. So 50-60% chance, I think it's a coin toss. She could easily show up in here, and she could easily not. I'm leaning more towards that she probably won't, but I could be wrong. Let me know down below which MCU character you actually think will appear in here. If I'm gonna have to take a guess, I would not be shook to see Chris Evans show up in here for a small little cameo as Captain America or Steve Rogers from a different world, but I could be wrong. Next up, we have Doctor Doom. Now, this could be any variant of Doctor Doom. This could be the original 2000s Doctor Doom. This could be the trash compactor Doctor Doom that sadly Toby Kebbell played. That version's awful, but Toby Kebbell's awesome. He's a great actor. Doctor Doom, I'm going to go 0 to 20% chance. I just don't see it. I don't see logically how the story would fit into that. I don't see logically how any of those actors would fit into it. I don't see why we would have Doctor Doom in here. There's been some rumors that maybe they wanted to do a cameo, but it seems like that type of rumor was more of the multiverse of madness of all these characters could possibly show up, and literally no one's did. So Doctor Doom easily at the bottom. I don't see it happening. Okay, let's finish up the rest of the Fantastic Four. So we have Ian Groff, I think that's his name. I could be mispronouncing that, as Mr. Fantastic. Now, if we are going to this world, I don't see him coming back, so I'm going to go 30 to 40% chance of happening. I think if we were going to say, oh, who is that Fantastic Four team, we might say, oh, everyone was the same but the stretchy guy, because John Krasinski was playing him. And I think 30 to 40% chance kind of fits a little bit fine there. Again, they're starting to get their Fantastic Four off the ground. I think if we wanted to see someone, it would be fun to see him in there. But again, this would be like the smallest of smallest cameos if we were to have him appear. I don't think there's any other reason to have him show up other than saying, look, it's him. Where I feel like mostly this film is going to focus on those original X-Men characters, that original trilogy. And when you want to bring love back to that, you got to bring it back to that. But if we do want to say one that is going to be in there, I think Jessica Biel, I think that's it. Jessica Alba, Jessica Biel. I'm getting the names mixed up. But Sue Storm, I think easily will show up in here. I would be shocked. I think if we are going to go back to that multiverse world of what had happened, I think we're going to see a new Illuminati formed. But what we'll see from that new Illuminati is obviously Reed needed a wife. And I think if you're going to bring back a small little cameo, that one fits pretty well. You'd love to see it. We'd love to see her for a small role. Maybe she gets axed off pretty fast. But again, to just see her back for one last time, one last hurrah, it'd be nice. And while her co-star won't be in it, I think we do see Chris Evans in here as well as the Human Torch, but I'm going to say 70-80%. I'm not more sold on that one for some reason. I just think Chris Evans has kind of become less likely to come back to the MCU unless he has to. I think he said in interviews that this type of thing of him showing back up as the Human Torch would be more interesting to him as a person. I just, when it does come down to these tier rankings and stuff, I'm not 100% sold. I'm more on the 70-80% chance for him because it would be a fun cameo. I think that's something that Kevin Feige would want. But if you're going to do that, I mean, right now would be actually the time to do it. Because I'm thinking, okay, if you do Secret Wars and we know there's going to be multiverse variants, wouldn't you want to bring him back as Steve Rogers? I know I would. One last hurrah as Chris Evans as Steve Rogers from a different universe. I mean, that kind of fits well, where if you have like him, Tobey Maguire, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Doctor Strange. I mean, you have this team assembled by Doctor Strange as like a multiverse team, which that's another video I should do of like who I would put in Secret Wars, but we got to get closer to that. I just 70-80% chance of seeing him as Human Torch. If it doesn't happen here, I don't think it ever happens at all. And the Thing, Michael Chiklis, 30-40% chance. Again, this is kind of one of those ones I could see it happening. I also am not very confident in it happening. You also don't really need Michael to show up. It could just literally be a CGI Ben. But we're also really close to the Fantastic Four ourselves for our own MCU, so this is just another one of those ones that I see maybe one member of their original team showing up, but the rest, not at all. Another one I'm 0 to 100% sure of showing up is Channing Tatum as Gambit. I might be throwing a left ball out. Maybe I should be throwing this in the 70 to 80% range. Channing Tatum has wanted to play Gambit forever. He's close with Ryan Reynolds. He's close with Sean Levy. He made a cameo in Free Guy. Why would he not cameo as Gambit? Unless he just didn't want to do it. Why wouldn't he? And why wouldn't they have him as Gambit in here? Gambit is a mutant. I think you could even have a very significant side role for him in here. Maybe it's towards the back half. Maybe Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine decides to bring him in on the team. Again, could be wrong because other than those two, you also have to you have to talk about Cable and Domino, who we know are not in the movie. Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Vanessa. I mean, the rest of the Deadpool crew needs to be touched on as well. So maybe he doesn't have a major role, but we never did get Channing Tatum as Gambit. He was announced and the merger of Disney and Fox just killed it. So I could potentially see him showing up if they are truly going to the Void, in the Void itself, kind of dealing with that entire nature. And I think that would be really fun for them to run into him. And maybe it's like a Richard E. Grant role where he was phenomenal as like a different version of Loki, but he kind of helps them get out of the Void. I could be wrong, but let's see. Now we really much just have the original X-Men. Now I didn't lay everyone down like Beast and all things like that. I really went with the main stars, and Jean Grey, I'm at a 70-80% chance of Famke. I always mispronounce her name, so I apologize, but I could see her showing up. I'm not fully sold on this. Now, the reason I'm not throwing her lower on this list is the fact that she is Wolverine's lover for a majority of that trilogy. I could see her showing up just for those instances, for that amount of fun. But how big will her role be? Will it be major? Will it be something like a different multiverse villain is trying to get her to become the Dark Phoenix again and destroy everything? I mean, it could be all that. But I don't know. Maybe she's the problem that the TVA is dealing with and Wolverine's going to have to axe her off again. I doubt it, though. Because I actually think one of the main villains... We know Emma Corrin is going to be the main villain in this, which rumors have been that she's going to play Professor X's sister. I'm not familiar with the character from the comics, but if we're going to bring someone back, Ian McKellen as Magneto. First off, it would fit. You could say that his daughter is Scarlet Witch in that Illuminati verse that we were in. He could be the new leader of the Illuminati. He could be pissed that his friend Charles Xavier died. There could be multiple different things, and now he wants revenge against the multiverse or something like that. I don't know. This is why I don't make movies, but it's Ian McKellen. And he's said that he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be acting. He might retire soon. And Secret Wars is quite a few years away. So if you're going to have him in here, Deadpool 3 is the place to be. And same thing can be said for Professor X. Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart, he's got to be in this. I understand he died technically in Multiverse of Madness again, but it's a full world of the multiverse. And with Deadpool screwing around in it, this is the character, like out of all these, he's the one that I'm like, 100% has to show up in here. If you have Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, there's a high chance you probably have Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. And I would like for him to have a little bit of a better role in here than he did in Multiverse of Madness. I wasn't completely satisfied with that entire sequence or entire thought, but it would make sense. And, you know, speaking of making sense is James Marsden as Cyclops. Now, James Marsden, I think, is always up for anything, any bit of fun. I'm putting him at a 70-80%. I probably should put him up higher, but I'm going to be safe and say there's maybe a chance that we don't see him. Maybe he makes a brief little thing, but if I was to be 100% sure, you know what, actually screw it. We're going 90 to 100%. He's Wolverine's best friend. And you know what? Screw it as well. We're going Jean Grey as 90 to 100%. I think they're going to do it. And if we're continuing this, Storm Halle Berry is absolutely going to be back in this 90 to 100%. Like, those four were the original faces of the X-Men, excluding, of course, Magneto and Xavier. If you asked me to talk about X-Men 2 or X-Men Last Stand, the four I would talk about is Hugh Jackman, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Storm. Those were always the top four. Those are the most iconic actors from that era. And if you're talking about iconic and bringing back and wanting to pay homage to those are the three actors that you need to get alongside Hugh Jackman returning with Deadpool. I don't see us seeing any of the First Class characters. I don't see us seeing any of those actors. It just doesn't seem like it would fit. I know they were already cameoed in Deadpool 2, but this just feels more in line. And that, my friends, is my tier list ranking. So just to kind of reiterate and go back over this one more time, at 0 to 20%, I'm going to kind of give you just a percentage on each of them. The Fantastic Four stick, I give it a 0% chance of any of them making an appearance, anyone from that movie, but I give it at least a 20% chance that they do make a joke. Daredevil, Ben Affleck, I'm giving a 0% chance, don't see it happening. Blade, Wesley Snipes, a 0% chance. Doctor Doom, a 0% chance with a 20% reference or cameo, maybe as like a joke, but again, 0% chance. Daphne Keane, I'm going to give a 40% chance to. Ian Groff's Mr. Fantastic, I'm going to give a 30. The Thing, a 30. Now, Loki as an entirety, I'm going to give it a 60% chance. But if we're going by the actors real fast, Sylvie, I would not even put in there, but I would put Tom Hiddleston's Loki probably at a 60% chance. Mobius, I would probably even put higher up, but let's be safe and put him at 60%. And yeah. Up next, we have the Scarlet Witch. I would probably put Elizabeth Olsen at about... I'd probably put her at a 50% chance. I think it's a coin toss, honestly, on her. Next list, we have William Stryker. I think that's more of an 80. Leaf Schreiber, I'm gonna go 70. I don't see us getting him in here, like the more I think about it, but I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong. I wish I would have put him up higher. Then we have a variant, any variant of Wolverine. I think that's an 80% chance, and Chris Evans as the Human Torch, 80% chance. And last but not least, Elektra, 100% chance, unless she's cut from the final cut. She is in this movie. Taylor Swift, I'm going 90%. Mrs. Fantastic, I'm going 90. Channing Tatum, Gambit, I'm going 100. Magneto, I'm going 100. Patrick Stewart, I'm going 100. Cyclops, I'm going 90. Storm, I'm going 100. I'm more confident on Storm showing up for some reason. And Jean Grey, I'm going 90% as well. And the last one I didn't put on here, and feel free to include it in yours, is Kang. With everything going on with Jonathan Majors right now, and is he going to stay, is he not? MCU, Kevin Feige, no one really has told us. I'm going to give him a 70 to 80% chance. Maybe there's a chance they did film something for him in there. But then if everything does turn bad, I could see them wiping it out. So actually, let's slow that back down and throw Kang at 50%. But that is my tier list. I definitely want to see your guys' thoughts down below. Please share them on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. Instagram as well. Tag me in there. I will share those on there. If you want to do more tier lists or have any other thoughts for tier lists, please let me know down below so we can have more fun doing those. But of course, until next time, stay classy.